Titanic, which was also known as unsinkable ship. But what actually happened with this ship that it had to be drawn down? This incident happened on 10th April 1912. First, let me tell you that how big and luxurious the RMS Royal Mail ship Titanic was. This was the biggest ship ever made by White Star Line Company. Its length was 269 meters and the height was around 53 meters. And this ship was costed to be made was around $7.5 million. And if we calculate this cost according to the current inflation, then it is around $400 million. And if we look at its luxuriousness, then it had more facilities than 7-star hotels. It had stained glass windows, ornate wood paneling, grand staircases, heated swimming pool, Turkish bath, electric bath, a gym, a squash court, 4 restaurants, 2 barber shops, and a library too. And the safety features was used to make this ship that it was being considered as an unsinkable ship. This is the ship which can never be sink because it's too safe. And the White Star Line Company's Vice President Philip A.S. Franklin was so confident about this ship, he even announced publicly that this ship is unsinkable. And I think that this information is enough about this ship's luxuriousness, and now let's talk about this first journey. This ship was heading towards New York, America from South Hampton, England. And in this ship, each kind of people were sitting. The big businessmen, industrialists, actors, the immigrants who were looking forward to live a better life ahead. The commands of this ship was handled by 62 years old, a senior captain Edward John Smith. At that time, there was so much excitement among the people, media and the ship passengers. And only after 2 days of its departure on 12th April 1912, Titanic started getting ice warnings. The ocean by which the Titanic was en routing from Southampton to New York, so many big icebergs were present there. This was the indication of danger for Titanic. Warnings are not an unusual thing. The ships around other ships gave signals to each other through radio that this area have more ice, be careful. After receiving these warnings, Titanic changed its course 2 times but didn't slow down its speed. It was moving ahead with the speed of 21.5 knots, which is around 40 kilometers per hour. After 2 days, 14th April 1912, Titanic received 7 more warnings. But the Captain Smith and his crew ignored it and didn't slow down its speed, and gradually the sun set down and the temperature also got down. The main thing of 14th April 1912 is that the moon didn't show up in the sky. And that's why the visibility was so less. Every ship has a crow's nest over it at a decent height, which we can say a lookout point, where a person always sits to see the upcoming things like another ships or any obstacles. And the person who was sitting on the Titanic's crow's nest at 11:39 p.m. in the night, and he saw a huge iceberg in front, and he rang the bell for 3 times to aware the people who was sitting down there. And he communicated via phone to the ship's officers, and he screamed that we have a huge iceberg on the way, turn the ship. And Officer William Murdoch heard that while sitting on the bridge, and he gave the message to the engine room to turn the ship into the left direction. But unfortunately, it got too late to turn the ship, and right after just 1 minute on 11:40 p.m., the ship bumped into the iceberg.
The Titanic was a new breed of luxury liner.
Titanic left port in Southampton, England.
Among her passengers were many of the wealthy and influential. The band played the gayest tunes and American ragtime dances. The time was 11:40.
The iceberg grazed the right side of the ship.
And all of a sudden she lifted up quickly. Everything that was movable was going through her.
I didn't think it was serious because I didn't think it was possible a big ship like that could sink. It sank very quickly.
This iceberg was not a small iceberg. It was 200 by 400 in length, like a football ground, and in the height it was equal to the crow's nest. And the scientists said that its estimated size was around 1.5 million tons. The collision of the iceberg to the Titanic would happen to the front right side. It was specifically right next to the bow. As you can see in this picture, the front part of this ship is called as bow, and the bottom part is called as keel. This ship was rubbed for around 10 seconds to the iceberg, and it got a huge dent on it. The impact was too heavy, and the ship got few holes also in the main body. And after a few seconds, the Captain Smith and architect to the ship, Thomas Andrews, immediately arrived at the site to see that how much damage they have got in the ship from this impact. And after the calculation, they figured out that the ship will be drawn down, and they got shocked. They used to think that this ship is unsinkable. There were 2 main safety features by which it used to be considered as an unsinkable ship. First one was that it had double bottom hull. The hull is called the main body of this ship. Double bottom hull means it had 2 layers. It used to be believed that if one layer gets damaged, then the second layer will save us. And the second safety feature was that the main body of this ship's hull was divided into 16 watertight compartments. Even if 4 compartments out of 16 get filled up with water, then it would have no effect to the ship. It won't stop. It will continuously move ahead. But the damage happened through the iceberg was to the side part of the ship. So it got no use of double bottom hull. It had single layer to the side part. The impact was too high, and 6 watertight compartments got breached and filled up with water. The limit was of 4 compartments only, and it means that now this ship can't be saved from droning down. After 20 minutes later of collision, the Captain Smith ordered to his crew members to send a distress call on radio so that the nearby ships would maybe detect it and come to save us. And the senior radio operator Jack Phillip was sending the distress signal continuously but didn't get any response from anywhere. But he didn't lose hope, and he still keeps sending the distress calls, and luckily he got response from the ship RMS Carpathia. And they agreed to save the Titanic, but the problem was that the Carpathia ship was 107 kilometers away from Titanic. Even if it would have gone with its top speed, it would take 3.5 hours to reach the Titanic. And the crew members fired the flares and firecrackers in the hope to get the help from any ship nearby. But unfortunately, they didn't get any response from the other ships except Carpathia ship. During that, the Captain Smith ordered to evacuate passengers with the lifeboats present on deck. According to the protocol, women and kids would get the first priority to sit in the lifeboats. And few passengers were not afraid to be sunk because they have heard that this ship is unsinkable. Believing the fact that this ship is unsinkable, they dropped down the first lifeboat in which only 28 people sat, even after having the capacity of 65 people. And by the time each compartment started filling by the water one by one, and the ship started tilting down, and after the people started realizing that this ship can also be sink, and when they got to know that this ship is sinking down, and they started rushing here and there. At 1 a.m. the water had filled in the front compartment so that the ship started moving under the ocean. Due to this, the rear part of the ship got surfaced out, and when the ship got tilted enough to the ocean, then people got panicked and the people started fighting with each other to sit in the lifeboats. And the problem was that there was a scarcity of lifeboats on the ship. There were only 20 lifeboats which could accommodate only 1200 people approximately, and there were around 2200 people on the ship. At 2:05 a.m. the last lifeboat was dropped down from Titanic, but still there were 1500 people left on the ship. During the last lifeboat, people tried to snatch the seats, and some people had accepted their fate and stayed in the ship.
At the end, it was chaotic at the end. Everybody was crying, praying, trying to get into the few lifeboats that were left. No, it was pretty sad at the end.
And at 2:20 a.m. according to the eyewitnesses, the ship got broken down into 2 parts and began to drone down gradually. It didn't even take 3 hours to drone down to the unsinkable ship, and the 1500 people who were left on the ship, either they got drowned down with the ship or they got died with hypothermia. The temperature of water was around -2 degrees, and it is said that the captain of Titanic, Edward Smith, stayed at the wheel until the end and droned with the ship. And some people also believe that he committed suicide. And the Carpathia ship, which was coming to save the people of Titanic, reached at the site around 3:30 to 4 a.m. to save the people, around 1 hour late. But the 705 people which was sent through the lifeboat, it saved all of them successfully. So this was the whole story of Titanic, that how it droned down. If you like this information, then like my video and do subscribe my channel. Thank you so very much.